Before using any machine in the shop, you should read and understand the owner's manuals. This tool here is our biscuit or plate jointer, and what it does is it cuts a small circular shape pattern into our workpiece so that a biscuit can fit into our workpiece. And so you plunge in the machine, and as you plunge in, this small little circular blade exposes and makes a little cut. So on some pieces of wood like this, if we were to attach this, we would do a butt joint, and that would mean that we just simply butt them together and put glue in there. Well, if we were to put biscuit joints in here, this gives us more surface area of glue when we're gluing together, and these biscuits are dry so that as the moisture from the glue is exposed to them, they kind of wedge themselves into the slot that we're making. Biscuits are very easy to set up in a line. All you do is put your boards together where you want them to be, and then just simply take a pencil and make a mark across the board. Now where this mark crosses the board, we're going to take your biscuit jointer and line up this little red indicator mark here right on the center point that we just made of that line. So that would look something like this. My pencil mark here to the edge of the board, the red indicator line on the biscuit jointer shows me right where I need to cut. There's a few settings on the biscuit or plate jointer we need to set. The first thing we want to do is identify the size of biscuit that we're using. If we look at this one, it says 10 USA. That means it's a number 10. If we look at our size of biscuit, we have 10, 20, M, and 0. And there's a little red indicator right here, so we want to make sure the 10 is right on that red indicator. The other sizes are either smaller or bigger, depending on the one you choose and the biscuit size you have. The other parameter we need to set is the angle of the front tongue here, or the front plate. And so if we take a look at that, we can set it anywhere from 90 degrees all the way up to straight up and down. So you could joint into, make 90-degree corners with this if that plate was set in that angle. You could also do some of your other angles, like 45 degrees. You could do biscuits on a board at 45 degrees as well. Today we're going to do 90, so we're going to set that in place and lock that down at 90. The other thing we need to adjust is the height that this blade is coming out. And if we go to the other side of the machine, so over here on the other side of the machine, this is where we set the height of the biscuit cut. Now right now we're set at about 3/8, and that's where we want to be. There's a little indicator here on the side that points to my ruler, and if I want to move that, I just loosen this little thumb screw, and then I can turn this up or down to adjust my size, if I'm on thinner material or thicker material. Today we're on 3/4 inch material, so we want to be set at 3/8, and there's a little triangle on the ruler there so that we can easily find that, because that's a size that gets used a lot. So we'll tighten that down, and now all of our settings should be set for us. I've got my board clamped to the table. I've got the lip of the board hanging off the table so we don't run the machine into the tabletop. I've got my marks on here in pencil, and now what we need to do is look at the machine. So the on-off switch is here on the handle. There's another handle on top, so I'm going to have both hands on this machine. I would line up my pencil mark to that red indicator on the front that I just showed you, and then when we're all ready, we would turn the machine on and plunge it in and bring it out. We don't want to be into that cut very long. The longer we're into that cut, the more variables we have of moving the machine and making that semicircle reamed out. So we want to be in and out as quick as we can when we're making these biscuit cuts. So before we do anything else, we need to check the cord and make sure it's in good condition. That's the operator's responsibility. Make sure there's no breaks and that the prongs are all there that need to be. And then you can plug the machine in. All right, we're ready to use the machine. I'm going to line it up to my spot. I can come straight down and look. And then I'm going to take and keep everything nice and square with that lip up there, turn it on and plunge it in. It's only going in about maybe 1/4 of an inch. It's about half of this biscuit. So when we put this biscuit into that slot, about half of it should stick out. And if we take a look straight down, you can see what this biscuit looks like. If I take it out, you can see the slot we made. So that's going to give us more surface area of glue. So now we just don't have a flat area. We also have this in-cut radius here in the top and bottom surface of this to be filled with glue. That's going to give us some more strength. Plus, this is going to expand with the moisture of the glue and wedge itself in there. So we've laid out some boards here with the biscuit. We've got biscuits cut on each side. Now the biscuits are rather forgiving, so if we're off just like a 1/16 of an inch from our line, generally they'll still line up and work for us. So we've got this lined up here, and the biscuits would be used to attach these together. Another quick note, we typically don't join plywood together like this. We don't do a butt joint on plywood, because we cannot come back and sand these joints flush because we'll go through the veneer. Now there may be applications where you could joint your plywood at a 90-degree angle with your butt joints as reinforcements by setting the plate different on the plate joiner or the biscuit joiner. Another thing to be aware of when you're running your biscuits is you need to stay a little bit away from the edge, because after you glue this panel up, you typically are going to come and cut this to size. And so we would want to make sure the biscuits aren't too close to the edge, because what's going to happen then is you cut this down, you're going to expose a biscuit on the edge of your board, and we want to avoid that. So I would come in a good 3 inches from the edge of your board. That will allow you to come and square up your board when you're done gluing it together. And the same with the other side, come in about 3-4 inches from the edge. And it doesn't really matter how many you want to put on here. You could put 2, you could put a 3rd one here in the middle, whatever is comfortable or whatever you prefer in your setup. Now the biscuits are not necessary, but they do help strengthen the board. So it's kind of a toss-up for most of the things we're doing in here that are not high stress on our wood joints. The biscuits are going to help strengthen the board, but they're not required. You can glue with some butt joints and it's going to hold together for you as well. If you have any questions on how to use the biscuit joiner or plate joiner or any other machine in the shop, please talk to your instructor so we can get your questions and issues answered so you can use the machine safely.